You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously.
Greetings, family. The Resurrection Formula is on sale now. You can order it at www.professorgriff.me or simply call 678-557-2919 or just text 678-557-2919 or scan the QR code on the screen. This is Professor Griff. Thank you very much. The Resurrection Formula is on sale now at www.professorgriff.me. Thank you. All right. Peace. Positive soul. What's good with you, Queen? All right. Let's do a system check. Let's see if we got some volume. Let's see what's happening. Yep. Audio check. 1, 2. Got the audio. I think we in business. All right. Greetings, everyone. How's everyone doing? All right. Family. What's great? What's good, everyone? All right. It's Professor Griff. And yeah, I am kind of looking like I'm coming out of the, I don't know, coming from Saudi Arabia somewhere, Muslim country. All right. Derek Bailey, what's good with you, man? Shout out to the Serious Minds families, Professor Griff. You already know that. And this is Serious Minds RNTV. I'm going to sit close to the screen right here so we can kind of get a vibe going here. I'm not going to be long, but I want to lay the base for what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. At the 6 o'clock hour, myself and Kalanji Chavachenga, all right, from Riot Starter TV. And of course, we're going to be talking about everything that led up to the Buffalo mass shooting of the white supremacists, all right, with his racially motivated mass shooting of black people. But today, all right, we're going to talk about racism, white supremacy, and what leads to these particular things. All right, shout out to the Serious Minds family. My man Dex, what's good with you? Larry Penton, what's happening? DJ, Hollande, no military, no might. I hear you, bro. You're right. Positive soul, greetings, Queen. All right, shout out to everyone. And today I just got like a little special thing I want to do. I'm gonna see if I could pull it off. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, but we're going to bring on Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, if you've never heard Dr. Francis Cress Welsing speak. And we're going to dive into what you have to say about the things that have transpired over the last 72 hours. We need to talk about all the other things that happened, because we're going to talk about the Buffalo thing tomorrow. Peace, Quan. What's good with you? There was several shootings, one in California, one in Milwaukee. There was about 5 different shootings, some they're not even covering and mentioning on primetime television. All right. Okay. Quan wants y'all to hit the like button. All right. Need to know what's good with you. All right. So I'm going to be on with Kalanji tomorrow at about the 6 o'clock hour right here. Y'all need to tune into that. All right. And then probably in a couple of months, we're going to bring in my sister from Mental Speak, Urban Intellectuals, Latanya. And then we just kind of chop it up. We're going to give balance to this whole thing. All right. Okay. So we need to get a working definition of racism, white supremacy. And I need to hear from you. I'm going to play some things and see how you responded to some of these things that's been going on over the weekend. All right. Now, there are some people, especially entertainers. I went over that last week. Entertainers, athletes, and other people that have said racism does not exist. Now, I want to ask them same people, do you believe us now that racism exists? Help us out. Do you believe us now? Does racism exist? I think it does. All right. I really think it does. And I really think we need y'all to kind of tune in and chime in. This hat is working my nerves, man. But anyway, I'm going to play Dr. Francis Cress Welsing while I go find me a hat. All right. And I will be right back. I need y'all to check this out.
Well, the Cress theory was an attempt back in the late 1960s to explain what I thought it is a Cress theory of color confrontation and racism, white supremacy. An attempt to, as a psychiatrist, as a Black psychiatrist, to understand, well, what exactly is this thing that we call racism, white supremacy? Looking at why do white people behave in the way that they do. You see, in concluding that it has to do, number one, with their minority status on the planet, their genetic recessive status, in that they could experience genetic annihilation, in that the overwhelming majority of people on the planet are Black, brown, red, and yellow, and whites constitute fewer than 1/10 of the people on the planet.
One of the things that we find that is happening now is there's this constant countdown. You see it on the news all the time. So when America's a majority minority nation, so there's still this countdown happening in terms of when white folks will be in the minority.
There will be a majority minority, which is nonsensical. There will be a white minority if the non-white, if the Black, brown, red, and yellow people are here. They will be the majority and whites will be the minority. You see, and it's a illogical statement to talk about a majority minority. I mean, which is like white supremacy. I still have to put myself on top. I have to pose that I am genetically superior to compensate. I say it's a compensation for a genetic recessive status. Well, I think I was the first person to talk about white genetic annihilation in those terms, and that racism is ultimately a total system for white genetic survival and to prevent white genetic annihilation on a planet that has the genetics and the demographics that exist on third planet from the sun, which is planet Earth. So I was the first to put it in those terms, and my thesis has not been refuted. I would say that if my definition is understood, that racism, white supremacy is the fear on the part of people who classify themselves as white about white genetic annihilation and the concern for white genetic survival. This would therefore mean logically and specifically that the focus has to be on Black males, because Black people have the greatest genetic potential to produce the Black pigment melanin, which gives all skin color. And since we have the greatest, the highest level of genetically determined ability to produce this pigment that can cause white genetic annihilation, and it's only males who can impose sexual intercourse. And so the focus consciously, subconsciously has to zero in on the males. This is why I say that understanding, I'm not talking about institutional racism. I'm talking about a total system construct that develops out of certain patterns of thinking on the part of people who classify themselves as white relative to specific realities that exist on this planet. And so then once that is understood, that the fear of genetic annihilation that takes to the focus on the male, the Black male person, as being the number one perceived threat, the number one enemy, and everything flows from that.
All right. Let me get my screen back. All right. Thank you for all the years of your contributions and encouragement. Unity 5, Unity Force. All right, Leviticus Greenhouse. Give thanks for the donation. Really appreciate that. All right, found me a hat, family, and it actually matches what I have on, so I guess that's a good thing. All right. So what do you guys think about that? That's Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and here is her book, The ISIS Papers. If you have not read this book as of right now, the conversation that we're going to have tomorrow, you're not going to be able to really, really understand what we're talking about. You might understand on a surface level. You might get the emotional kind of thing that's involved in it. Thank you, Quan. You might get the emotional thing that's involved in it, but to truly understand it from a root level and not hang out on branches because we want to go to the root of a thing, all right, you have to get the book. Now, this book is on Amazon. This book is in audio form on YouTube. This book is in PDF. However you can get it, I say get it, but understand it. All right? You see, Brother Marcus Bookstore in Oakland, California has it. All right. Brother Marcus down in Morrow, his bookstore has it. Nia in Greenbrier Mall has it, pardon me. The thing is, get the book. All right. Read it, know it, understand it, ask questions about it, get it and understand it. All right. So let's take a brief pause. Shout out to the brothers and sisters that supported myself and Dr. Khalid El Hakim at the Black History 101 Mobile Museum that we did at Black Wall Street. All right. Thank y'all. Thank you for showing up and showing the hell out. Really appreciate you. All right. We brought 230 artifacts. All right. And thank to Lord Hester. Thank to my brother Richard. Thank to the brothers and sisters there at Black Wall Street at Stonecrest Mall that made that event happen. All right. Really appreciate you. You said Echelon Books has it in Los Angeles. At Leimert Park. All right. Got you. All right. So we have to understand what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is talking about when she talks about racism, white supremacy. So when you see, all right, when you hear Tucker Carlson, when you see white mass shootings, you'll be able to take it and put it in context. Now, Richie Hustle, what's up, Richie Hustle? Richie Hustle said racism, white supremacy is the local and global power system, dynamic structure that maintained by those who classify themselves as white, whether consciously or subconsciously determined. All right? That's Richie Hustle. He understands it. We have to get a working fundamental definition of racism, white supremacy. We can't just say, well, he's a white supremacist and we leave it at that. What does it mean? All right? So for a few minutes, we're going to dive into Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's work. We're also going to dive into Robin DiAngelo, White Fragility. All right? And then we're going to kind of dive into Stamped from the Beginning by Ibrahim X. Kendi. All right? Now, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, right here, we're going to dive into specifically what happened in Buffalo. But in the meantime, between time, what happened after the Bucks game the other night? I think Soleil said to me, she said, this weekend is going to be crazy. I think she said this on Friday. Sure enough, I was there at Black Wall Street all day, so I was tuned out to what was going on because I was focusing on what I was doing. The blood moon happened, the solar eclipse, the shootout at the Bucks game. Castagna, and he's now undisputed. Let me see which weight class. Come on, hold on, fam. Let me see which weight class. I want to do my brother some justice. Jamel Charlo. Hold on. Hold on. Is it Jamel Charlo? Hold on. Because there's two Charlos now. You know, those are the Charlo twins. Hold on. All right. It's Jermel Charlo versus Brian Castagna. 2. All right. Let's give the brothers a play. Hold on 1 second. Hi. Jermel Charlo versus Brian Castagna. 2 fight results. Highlights. Charlo becomes undisputed champ with vicious KO. I believe it was in the 10th round. I fell asleep on it because I was tired. Tired is an understatement, man. I was like, being at the Black Wall Street all day, I was out of it. I watched it the next day, and yes, it was. So shout out to Jermel Charlo, all right, for doing the damn thing. All right, shout out to Jermel Charlo. All right, Catania, that brother, he got hands. That brother could throw. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, that's one thing that was happening. The blood moon was happening. Hold on, let's look up the blood moon and people going through blood moon rituals. Sundays, it was really Saturday night. Total lunar eclipse creates dazzling blood moon. That was Saturday night about 11 or 12 o'clock. All right. So that was happening. All right. And then the shooting on the West Coast was happening. So there was a lot going on, and Soleil was absolutely correct. It was going to be a crazy, crazy weekend. Then come to find out the thing in Buffalo. Let's get back to where we were at. All right. All you have to do is put in Dr. Francis Cress Welsing or just Dr. Welsing or the ISIS papers in your search engine. All right. And her information will come up. She talks about exposing the system of global white supremacy, and you're seeing the effects of it right now. All right. As we speak. All right. I'm trying to find one. Just put in Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, all white people. Just hit search. Why do white people behave the way they? Right? We watched that a few seconds ago. This one is 3 hours long. This one is 2 hours long. So you have enough homework to do. You have enough things that are on YouTube where you can kind of dive into and get an understanding of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's work. All right. What is the white responsibility for behavior we see on the planet?
You have to understand specifically what you're dealing with. And without the specific understanding, there cannot be. This is just like in a war. Until you understand the exact nature of the war, what is the war fundamentally about? You can't really design strategies and tactics. And so we are not going to be able, this is why if we look back, things look worse today than they did 50 years ago. You see, because we're not dealing with an analysis. We're dealing with, telling people not to kill each other. We're not dealing because we're not allowed to talk specifically about racism, white supremacy. My purpose as a psychiatrist in talking about this and making an analysis of what we are specifically dealing with is like any other thing in medicine, that you don't just deal with the symptoms of a problem. You have to wonder, well, what is the disease base that the symptoms are a reflection of? And what we have is blocking a discussion, any in-depth discussion of racism, white supremacy. I mean, I'm the only psychiatrist in the United States that has been talking about racism, white supremacy for 40 plus years. I'm the only psychiatrist in the world that is talking about it.
This is Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and she's been talking about this for 40 plus years. So then, if what she says in her book and what she says in her talks and her lectures, all right, if some people dare to refute it, she basically says, come up with a definition of racism, white supremacy that will fit what's going on, not only then, but now. All right. So this is the shootout. At least 17 wounded in downtown Milwaukee shooting, police said. No fatalities were reported in the shooting on Friday night, which happened blocks from the arena where the NBA playoff game ended hours early. All right, so the game had ended, then hours later, there must have been some kind of shootout. All right. So this is a very real dynamic in what we're dealing with here. All right. So what I wanted to simply do today is just get it from you. I want you to sound off. All right. I did I went on what do you call it? TikTok. And I pulled down some things and I just said to myself, because person after person was just kind of laying it out. I was just like, wow. All right, so let me lay some things out. Let me play some things for you. All right. Let's put the Buffalo mass shooter on the screen. put the Buffalo mass murderer on the screen. All right. 10 people, including retired Buffalo police officer, were killed and 3 were wounded in a shooting Saturday afternoon at Tops Market. Now, me and Kalaji are going to go over this. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I'm going to let you sound off. I want to hear what you have to say about it. Is that cool? Okay. Let's talk, family. Where's this guy? Shooting in Buffalo. Let's copy that. Let's go here. All right. Let's put in who was the shooter in Buffalo. All right. Who was this guy? And then we're going to dive into the article. All right. All right, here we go. All right, follow me, fam. All right. Let's talk.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're looking at the mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, Saturday, when an 18-year-old white supremacist wearing full body armor, carrying an assault rifle, opened fire on a supermarket in a Black neighborhood of Buffalo. We just went to Buffalo. Now we're joined by Ibram X. Kendi, the Andrew W. Mellon Professor in the Humanities at Boston University, founding director of the Boston University Center for Anti-Racist Research, contributing writer at The Atlantic, where his new piece published, well, it looks like it was published yesterday, but it was actually published last month before the attack in Buffalo, headlined, "The Danger More Republicans Should Be Talking About. White Supremacist Ideology is Harmful to All, Especially the Naive and Defenseless Minds of Youth." He's also the author of many books, including Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America, which won the National Book Award for Nonfiction. Also author of How to Be an Anti-Racist and the children's book Anti-Racist Baby. He's got 2 forthcoming books out in June, How to Raise an Anti-Racist and the picture book Good Night Racism. I hope those books won't be banned the way a number of your books have been around the country, Professor Kendi. But as you watch this horror unfold this weekend, I think it's very critical to talk about taking the word fringe out of fringe theory, the great replacement theory, because how mainstream what is motivating quite explicitly this young self-identified white supremacist fascist who only wished he had killed more people.
Exactly. I mean, some of the leading politicians and media figures and intellectuals, particularly over the last 2 years, if not the last 10 years, have been asserting this idea that anti-racism, that critical race theory, that Latinx immigrants, that so-called Black criminals, that Muslim terrorists, that people of color are harming or seeking to replace or even engage in a genocide against white people. That's the great replacement theory. That is a dominant talking point, particularly among members of the Republican Party. And so this is certainly not a fringe theory. It was a fringe theory on many levels a decade ago, but it's certainly not now.
So respond to what took place this weekend, how it's covered, the issue of it being a domestic terror attack, not a lone gunman, who is suffering from mental illness. Last year, his school was so concerned about what he was saying. They called in the New York State Police, who had him taken for a mental evaluation, yet he could still lawfully buy in his hometown the weapon used in this attack.
Okay, now before he answers that, and that's one of the issues that I have. How was this dude? He was evaluated and reevaluated. All right. How was he able to buy a firearm? In New York and California got the strictest gun laws. All right. Something is going on behind the scenes, family, that we don't know about. All right. So we're not going to buy the lone wolf scenario. We're not going to buy that. We're not going to dive into what actually happened. I'm going to discuss that tomorrow with Kalanji. We're just laying the base to get you to understand racism, white supremacy, and what it is and how it works. All right. So we're letting you sound off tonight. All right. Letting you sound off.
Roland Martin is host of the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show. He has a book called White Fear coming out in September, and Roland joins us now from Washington. Thanks very much indeed, Roland, for your time. We're just listening to Joe Biden there talking about hate crime as a stain on the soul of America. Are you encouraged by his reaction to these latest events?
Well, his reaction is one thing, but the reality is the FBI director has testified numerous times over the past 4 years that the number one threat in America is white domestic terrorism. Under Donald Trump, they actually pulled back the funding and shifted that over to watching Muslims. The reality is this here. If Muslims were killing Americans like white men are in the United States, America will be up in arms going crazy. But this is also American history. Black people have witnessed this for more than 400 years. We have been terrorized in this country for centuries. And so this is the latest example. And what you're seeing white Americans who cannot stand the fact that America is changing, that the emerging majority are going to be Latinos, African Americans, Asians, and Native Americans. And so this is an evil that has persisted in this country for far too long. And it's time for white Americans to wake up and confront their own.
Right. I mean, there are many white Americans, as I'm sure you would accept, who are appalled by what they've heard and seen in Buffalo and many other cases, and to campaign hard, possibly against hate crime, but also about gun control. I mean, how much is that the problem as much as the issues of hate?
Well, first of all, if you don't have the hate, then you're not going to have a problem with the guns. Guns are still a problem as well. But the issue has been this here. There have been too many people. You look at what has happened in this country over the last 4 years, last 6 years, if you will. And this is really, I've been yelling this from the rooftops since 2009 because we were operating what I call a white minority resistance. This notion that, oh my goodness, by 2043, white Americans are going to be in the minority. But let's also be honest. Y'all have been dealing with this in Europe. People have been complaining about African immigrants coming in. Well, you have white populations decreasing with birth rates. And so these nations are changing. These Western nations are changing, and folks don't like the fact that people of color are increasing. And so all of these things are coming together. And trust me, this is not going to be the last mass shooting. This is not going to be the last instance, because we're seeing white folks in this country who are being radicalized because they're listening to Fox News, they're listening to conservative radio, and all they're hearing about is replacement theory, which says they are replacing us.
Yeah, Roland, thank you very much indeed for your views.
Replacement theory. We need to look this up because it's individuals like Tucker Carlson.
This is Democracy Now!
That's pushing this thing. All right. We need to
Roland
understand
Martin is host of the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show. He has
thank you. That's pushing this particular thing. We need to kind of dive into what is this thing actually about. Why do they feel that someone's trying to replace him? On the Democracy Now! Piece, it talked about, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow extensively, is the fact that they said now check this out. They said it's an anti-Semitism theory that white Jewish people like George Soros are funding black people to replace white people in America. White people are saying that's what these white supremacists are saying. So they're killing the black people. Of course, they don't like Jewish people either, but they're killing black people. So it's like, wow. So they're thinking that the billionaire white Jewish people like George Soros funding black movements to get rid of white people in America. This thing runs super, 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 super duper deep. Hold on. Hold on. So I'm scrolling through. Hold on. TikTok, and I'm running across person after person after person, and I just said to myself, "Wow." So I just said, maybe black people just need to sound off, man. Maybe we need to be heard. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm saying, well, maybe that's a good thing. So let you hear what this brother has to say.
Racially motivated mass shootings is that these motherfuckers never go to people who can shoot the fuck back. Dylan Roof walks into a fucking black church and shoots 9 people. Elder black people. Queen mothers and king fathers. The man that shot up that Sikh temple. He in there shooting elder Sikh people. The fucking idiot that shot up those nail salons shot up women. I guarantee you the motherfucker that shot up that church in Los Angeles this past weekend was targeting elderly Asian people. The nut job that shot up Hispanic people in Walmart in El Paso, he targeted elderly Hispanics. This dumbass in Buffalo drives for 2 fucking hours. He didn't drive his ass to Chicago where all the crime is supposedly happening. He didn't drive his ass to West Philly. Why? Because he knows for a fact your tactical vest ain't gonna help you if everybody's shooting at you at the same motherfucking time. If rounds is coming from everywhere, your motherfucking ass ain't got no hope. You ain't even getting out of the car with that shit. I've noticed that shit. That fucking incel, the dumbass one, fucking, I can't even, Elliot Rodgers, shooting at fucking college students. But you motherfuckers got the great replacement theory all in your goddamn jaw meat. Yet, the El Paso shooter, MS-13 was the big thing. Everybody got to worry about MS-13. Do you think that El Paso shooter took his ass anywhere near where he thinks MS-13 is? Of course he didn't. Because you ain't cocking a gun at them without them cocking 10 at your stupid ass. You'd have got bullets from every fucking area you could think of. And they'd have kept shooting your stupid ass. They'd be shooting him today. He'd have his ass just on the road someplace, decomposing, blowing his head off just for target practice.
Black people are sounding off. Do you hear what I'm saying? Black people are tired, frustrated, angry, and with every right to be. All right, and people are sounding off. You said, where is he from? Boston? I don't know where he's from because I don't know him. All right, I'm just letting people sound off. All right, hold on for a second, fam. Hold on. Hold up. All right, so this next gentleman or person that I'm letting sound off, hold on. Let me see what this looks like. TikTok. All right.
Does media enable white supremacy? I'm going to show you 2 pictures, and I want you to look at the difference. Back in 2014, when police killed Michael Brown, the AP reported an unarmed 18-year-old black man was shot to death by a police officer. 18-year-old black man. Now look at the second picture. But when an 18-year-old white supremacist killed 10 people, most of them black, the AP reported a white teenager who authorities would say was motivated by racial hatred. White teenager. So a black 18-year-old killed by police is a man, but a white 18-year-old who commits mass murder is is only 18. People need to understand that white supremacy is not just a KKK terrorist wearing a white hood. It's these subtleties and narratives that takes a black teen killed by cops and turns him into a black man, and takes a white supremacist who committed mass murder and turns him into a white teen. This is why it is so critical that every single one of you tells your narrative and makes sure your story is heard from your mouth. It's also why we must not stop fighting for justice and demand accountability for those in power. Does media enable white supremacy? I'm going to show you two pictures, and I want...
Now, you're hearing it not only from Professor Griff, but you're hearing it from individuals, all right, that are sounding off. All right, and this is very real. All right, check this out.
Hey, good morning. Can you name a time in American history where Black people have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill white people? Can you name a time in American history where people of color have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill white people? Can you name a time in world history where people of color have crossed borders to specifically hunt and kill white people? Now, can you name a time in world history where white people have crossed borders to specifically hunt and kill people of color? Can you name a time in American history where white people have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill people of color? Can you name a time in American history where white people have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill Black people? Hey, good morning. Can you name a time in American history where Black people have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill white people? Can you name a time in American history where people of color have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill white people? Can you name a time in world history where people of color have crossed borders to specifically hunt and kill white people? Now, can you name a time in world history where white people have crossed borders to specifically hunt and kill people of color? Can you name a time in American history where white people have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill people of color? Can you name a time in American history where white people have crossed state borders to specifically hunt and kill Black people?
Questions to ask yourself. Or do you dare ask the question? Is that something that we do, something we can do, something we shouldn't do? Okay. All right. These are simple questions. These are people sounding off. This is not Professor Griff, so you can't put it off on me like the gentleman that hit me up and says, man, you see, that's why we need to be sovereign beings. So the white shooter was going to get out and ask everybody for ID before he went into the grocery store? No. Soon he stepped out of the car, he started shooting. You're not asking people for ID, whatever. You black, copper, melanated, whatever. Yeah, you were getting shot. All right? Okay. Let's talk.
So this kid gets sentenced to 124 years in prison for selling drugs to somebody who wanted to buy drugs and ends up dying. From everything I'm reading, this terrorist manifesto parrots Tucker Carlson's words. So if Tucker Carlson feeds this terrorist the ideas and foundation that caused him to murder people, is Carlson not responsible for bringing about those deaths? How is the theory of someone being responsible for another's actions okay in one instance but not another? So this kid gets sentenced to 124 years in prison for selling drugs to somebody who wanted to buy drugs and ends up dying. From everything I'm reading, this terrorist manifesto parrots Tucker Carlson's words. So if Tucker Carlson feeds this terrorist the ideas and foundation that caused him to murder people, is Carlson not responsible for bringing about those deaths? How is the theory of someone being responsible for another's actions okay in one instance but not another? So this kid gets sentenced to 124 years in prison for selling drugs to somebody who wanted to buy drugs and ends up dying. From everything I'm reading, this terrorist manifesto parrots Tucker Carlson's words. So if
okay. Are y'all grasping what people have to say? All right. We need, these are different people from just different walks of life. So some of y'all might get hung up on Roland Martin. Some of you might get hung up on Democracy Now. Some of y'all, that's y'all's problem. That's going to be y'all's issue. That's not my issue. All right. It's really not my issue.
And another thing, white moms, here is a part of white privilege you have probably never considered. So white men and boys do the vast majority of these, right? Did you notice that every time one of those happens, nobody's talking to white moms about how they raise their kids? Notice how there's no seminars, there's no school programs, there's no nationwide nonprofits solely committed to making sure your sons don't commit crime. There's no stop the violence commercials on your TV. Yeah, Black moms don't get that luxury. For the better part of 60 years, Black moms have been held socially, financially, sometimes legally responsible for everything their kids do or don't do. If I went to school with my hair not done for too many days in a row, my mom and grandma got a phone call because something must be going on at home and it needs to be fixed. The biggest part of white privilege that you don't understand is what is not assumed about you. And white moms are not assumed to be bad parents every time something happens in the news. And another thing, white moms, here is a part of white.
Okay. Like I said, you're hearing it from people sounding off. All right. So now you can't put it off on a Professor Griff and say, I said this and I did that, and I'm not vaccinated, and I'm not indigenous, whatever the hell, and I don't have my card, and I don't have whatever, and if I'm a crayon, I'm still calling myself black, whatever it is that you say about me. Because I read what you say. I get it. Got you.
This just came in a few minutes ago. Ben Crump now is the lawyer for one of the victims' family in the Buffalo shooting. Ruth Whitfield's family, they are suing. No, get this. They are suing people who are responsible. I mean, people like news organizations, politicians, internet, websites, social media sites. Yeah, good for them, guys.
Everyone's perspective. You're going to get mine tomorrow when I'm on the show with Kalanchi. I want to hear you sound off, though. What is it that you have to say about this?
This was Roberta. Roberta was only 32 years old. She was gorgeous, full of life, and shot in the head while walking out of Tops. This is Pearl Young. She was 77 years old. She had her sister-in-law drop her off at Tops to get some groceries she needed for a picnic. This is Aaron Salter. He's a retired police officer who was working security and actually confronted the shooter and risked his life to try to save others. This is Hayward. He was 67 years old, a husband and a deacon at his church. This is Ruth. She stopped at Tops after visiting her husband in a nursing home. This is what was written on the rifle of the mass shooter. One of the victims was a Black man who went to Tops to buy his 3-year-old son a birthday cake. We have to care. We have to do something. I'll be going live tonight on Instagram. Y'all need to follow me so we can discuss what we're going to physically do about this. This was Roberta. Roberta was only 30.
I'm glad to see people stepping up to the plate. All right. So we need to start paying attention. And this is why I kept telling people we need to train. Double B, Quan, Johnny Taylor, Little Goddess, John Trey. I could mention Doc, that's probably listening right now. LP. A lot of people could probably tell you. I've been saying train, train, train. Take the class, train. All right. Developing urban tactical mindset. We have to develop an urban tactical mindset to understand, all right, when we see this. All right. And you'll understand what I'm saying by that tomorrow when I talk to Kalanji, when some of the things come up and out. All right. Believe them when they say what they say.
Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are the first time, believe them. And the majority, not every single person, but the majority of white America has shown us who they are for the past 500 years. They showed us who they were when they came over here and killed all the indigenous people to steal all their land and resources. They showed us who they were when they brought Asian people over here to build a railroad and then stuck them in internment camps on this continent. They showed us who they were when they separated Latino babies from their parents and locked them in cages. And they showed us who they were when they stole innocent Africans, put them in the bottom of ships, murdered them, raped them, and treated them as chattel for profit. They showed us who they were when they abandoned all of their European cultural differences and homogenized themselves into this one group called white, then created this white supremacist fantasy in order to rationalize to themselves treating everybody that didn't look like them like garbage. They showed us who they were when they held on to this white supremacist fantasy in order to justify making it illegal for Black people to read, making it okay for them to get Black people out of their beds and string them up in trees and have their children sit out there and take pictures and pass the shit around the country on postcards. They showed us who they were when they allowed white people in this country to kill Black people with no consequence. See, today it's mostly just cops, but it wasn't that long ago when the average Joe Blow white American could just kill whatever Black person they wanted to and get away with it. Emmett Till was only 1 year older than my father, then my damn daddy. They also show us who they are when they refuse to even discuss any kind of recompense for the oppression and degradation they have shown an entire race of people who are owed for building this country on their backs for free. So this little new boy that shot up all these Black people in Buffalo, New York yesterday, he is not new to us. He is only new to the people who have not been paying attention. And they're going to get on the news and try to act like he's some kind of lone wolf. He's some kind of psycho. And they just don't understand how he could have these thoughts and how he came to act out this way. I'll tell you, he is the offspring of Fox News, of allowing all these GOP politicians to play fast and loose with the legislation of this country, of all these people who act like they don't see what the fuck is really going on in this country. He's a product of that.
Wow. Okay. I'm letting you sound off tonight, family. I mean, are y'all getting this? Because that sister was just fire. Like, are y'all, you understand it? I'm sure this is how most of y'all feel. But for some strange reason, most of y'all are afraid of losing a white friend, or one of your Christian friends at church might look at you a strange kind of way, or your white girlfriend might roll over and slap you, or you won't get them whack ass fucking macaroni and cheese tonight, and that damn. Let me stop. Anyway, it's very real dynamic in what's going on and what we're dealing with. So if you're not outraged as to what's happening, what is wrong with you? I'm waiting for you to sound off. Because y'all already know Professor Griff. I'm going to get real quiet and go back and start training harder. Because I'm not going to be one getting shot down at the grocery store, at Whole Food, or the vegan spot. No, it's not. No, we're not doing that. Nope. Ain't going to happen. Hold on.
So since I'm probably going to get banned from TikTok, I might as well give my 60-second opinion on this terrorist attack. This is an 18-year-old child who had access to heavy artillery, who lived in a home with his parents, writing a manifesto over 100 pages long about this idea, this replacement theory that is promoted by the Tucker Carlson, who is a Nazi for Fox News. And this terrorist specifically targeted people like me. And he walked away. He walked away. Here are a few pictures of young Black men who were unarmed and shot and killed. But a terrorist gets to walk away. Make it make sense. So since I'm probably gonna get banned from TikTok, I might as well give my 60-second opinion on this terrorist attack. This is an 18-year-old child who had access to heavy artillery, who lived in a home with his parents, right?
Okay, I'm seeing what some of you guys are writing. And y'all are you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. 1000% correct.
Eamon, I've got to talk to you about Buffalo. I want to say something that normally you and I might talk about in private, that normally brown people might talk to each other about in private, but I do want to say it on TV tonight because it's important, which is that if you and I, let's be honest, brown Muslim men on TV, were echoing and saying the racist stuff, white conservative cable hosts can basically say the same stuff. White
Okay. Yeah. So I guess we're back now. Yeah, you know, Tina, you're right. You're messing with the live feed. Shout out to the great filibuster. Thank you very much for your donation. Shout out to Double B. Thank you, brothers, for always supporting the platform. My man, Johnny Taylor. Of course, Little Goddess. And of course, Quan. Okay, hold on. See if I can get it back.
I bet you white supremacists will never come in the heart of the hood and pull that bullshit. I bet you won't come to Chicago, LA, New York, Atlanta, Houston, Alabama, Memphis, none of them places, Carolinas, Florida. See, when y'all go and shoot and try to attack black people, y'all always go to these upper middle classes. You don't never come to the ghetto to try to pull it, because guess what? You think you're going to bust at somebody in the hood, baby, they busting back. See, that really shows how scary you are. You pick and choose who black people to go after. But you will never come to the hood and pull it, though. Because you know people in the hood about that life. Sad to say, people in the hood do their own. So you think they are cared out doing you? But you pussy. That's exactly what you are. You will never come to the hood and pull it, ever.
Woo! Sisters. I see the sisters got it. Man. Sisters, sister. Did y'all hear my song called Sister? Y'all need to go back and listen to it, because that's what I'm talking about. The last 4 sisters I had on here, sounding off, man. And that's real. She right. You ain't gonna come to the hood and do that.
The males especially are not fully formed. Is there a possibility that there was some kind of mental illness? The males especially are not fully formed. Is there a possibility that there was some kind of mental illness that triggered this? Although his brain may not have been fully formed, at 18, his brain was fully formed enough to pick up a weapon and drive to Buffalo. His brain was fully formed enough to put his finger on a trigger. His brain was fully formed enough to point at people, at women, at anybody who was in his path. His brain was fully formed. Another satisfied because at the end of the day, 18 is formed enough to do better. Yeah.
They know better. We have to stop saying this is mental illness and they don't know better. They know exactly what they're doing. You say, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they know exactly what the hell they doing. All right? And tonight, I'm just letting you sound off. All right? I'm letting you sound off tonight simply because I have a show tomorrow at 6 o'clock with Kalanji Chabachanga from Riot Starter TV. I'm letting you sound off tonight because I want to hear what you have to say about it, because I'm taking into account everything that we have to say, and I'm galvanizing that particular energy. And now we need to morph that into some constructive kind of methodology and program that we need to start training, and we need to get our minds right. All right? The sister was right. They're not coming to the hood to do that. He said it, they said he cased out the joint the day ahead of time. But I'm
my lap now, that's a nice choice. Run around town, car full of white boys. God ain't never made no motherfuckers crazy as the white boys. We been known to fight, boys. Silent out our shotguns, rocking camo, causing problems late at night, boys. White boys, mama knows for trouble, circle tight, boys. Soon as it pops out, we got you running for your life, boys. In my lap now, that's a nice choice. Run around town, car full of white boys. God ain't never made no motherfuckers crazy as the white boys. We been known to fight, boys. Silent out our shotguns, rocking camo, causing problems late at night, boys. White boys, mama knows for trouble, circle tight, boys. Soon as it pops out, we got you running for your life, boys. In my lap now, that's a nice choice. Run around town, car full of white boys. God ain't never made no motherfuckers crazy as the white boys. We been known to fight, boys. Silent out our shotguns, rocking camo, causing problems late at night, boys. White boys, mama knows for trouble, circle tight, boys. Soon as it pops out, we got you running for your life, boys. My lap.
That's probably the dopest fucking trap music song, whatever the fuck I heard in a long, long goddamn time. Because that other shit that y'all talking about don't mean the rat's ass don't mean shit to me. I got a question, Griff. Was it real cases and killers? That real? I don't know what you talking about. Talk heavy. Yeah, we got to get black with you, good bro. Hold on. Don't go nowhere, though.
Power to the people. Well, well, well. Another white radicalized domestic terrorist launches military kinetic action against soft targets in Buffalo, New York. Mental illness, my ass. Fox fake ass news and these other white supremacists in power in the country are responsible for radicalizing these men against us. We make up 13% of the population in this country. It's pretty obvious by now that America does not give a damn about us. I am looking for people with military backgrounds and training who are ready to make a difference. If you want to be a trainer or you're seeking to be trained, reach out to me and all the social media sites and we'll make this happen. Whether it takes 10 months or 10 years, we must be relentless in our fight against white supremacy. Victory in the cold Civil War. Union gang represent.
All right. Brothers and sisters are standing up to defend ourselves, like the Panthers did. All right. Where y'all at? Now we're going to see where everybody stand. All right. We're going to see where you stand. All you want to do is a fucking radio show and sit behind your computer. We're going to see where everybody stand. We're going to see exactly where you at. You want to talk tough talk? You claim you about that life. Well, we're going to see if you about that life then. That's all. We're going to see where everybody at. For real.
Organizations like Fox News have spent years perfecting the craft of stoking cultural grievance and political resentment that eerily mirrors the messages found in replacement theory. According to one measure by the New York Times, Fox's top political pundit, most widely watched, Tucker Carlson, has spewed rhetoric that echoes replacement theory at least 400 times on his show since 2016. Let me repeat that. According to one measure by the New York Times, Fox's top political pundit, Tucker Carlson, has spewed rhetoric that echoes replacement theory at least 400 times on his show since 2016. 400 times. This is a poison that's being spread by one of the largest news organizations. You know, organizations like Fox.
Y'all are hearing this from them. That's why I'm giving you a mixture today. That's why I'm letting people sound off. All right? Y'all better... Y'all don't understand, man. Some of y'all just don't get it, man.
Yo, the black community in Buffalo, New York is full of G's who gave us the blueprint for community policing way back in the 1840s. How was that? Well, let me explain. In September of 1847 in Buffalo, New York, at this saloon right here named Gothic Hall, worked a black man named Cress Webb. He was a waiter. On this particular day, though, he had some folks waiting for him, and they weren't trying to place an order for food. There were two slave catchers from Kentucky who swore that Cress was an escaped slave, and they were there to return him to enslavement. So they took out a gun, grabbed Cress, and dared anybody to intervene, and went out the door. When they went outside, there was a loud, raucous crowd of black and white folks who demanded Cress's release, and they conceded and released him. After that, the black community in Buffalo formed a community policing committee to protect themselves, and he got Cress paid. Yo, the black community in Buffalo, New York is full of G's who gave us the blueprint for...
We love that about...
for community policing.
We love that about Buffalo. We love that about all the areas. But it seems like the black community is feeding on itself. And now it's time for us to galvanize our energy, our resources together so we can save ourselves. This dude drove 200 miles to come pull this off.
I hope you don't think that the money. I hope you don't think.
Wow. So family, what do you think about this? We've been on 45 minutes. We've played men, we've played women, we've played older people, younger people, people sounding off. I think this is a very real thing that we're kind of dealing with, man. Defend yourself. All right? Yeah, man, but I'm a felony. All right, well, you better learn some damn judo or something. When they come and bring it, hey, go to work. Go to work. You said what? That's what's missing in our communities now. Instead, they want to keep us from protecting ourselves. Well, we're going to start protecting ourselves. I think Kadir Latif was one of the ones I saw on Instagram saying that they're going to start policing their own community. That's what needs to happen. Yep. So what did you said he drove 200 miles because he didn't want the retaliation, but what did his family have to say? What does his mom and dad have to say? So we're going to talk about this tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'm going to have on Kalanji Chaba Changa, and we're going to discuss this. Kemp passed that concealed carry down here in Georgia. No reason for us not to be strapped for protection. Thank you. I've been teaching firearms for a minute. Sign up for the class, Developing the Urban Tactical Mindset. If you want to take the class, contact me at 678-557-2919. My class should be packed with people that want to learn how to defend themselves on that level. All right? Get on your body armor drills. That's right. Fight like you train and train like you fight. Thank you, Donna C. Fight like you train and train like you fight. I've shown you battle belts. I've shown you bulletproof vests. I've shown you AR-15s, 9mm, red dots. I've showed you light suppressors. I've shown you everything. What y'all waiting on? 678-557-2919. Text me right now. Get in the class. All right? Oh, give thanks. I'm going to keep pushing the truth. But I'm not going to stop until our people are trained so we can defend ourselves. Because these people are not playing. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing spoke about what they were going to do in her book, The ISIS Papers. Their numbers are dwindling. They're not having babies. Black and Latino people are having babies. Native American, Mexicans, immigrants that are coming into this country. Why do you think they want to stop immigrants from coming in? All right? Why do you think this abortion conversation is happening now? Come on, family. Y'all got to see the handwriting that's on the wall. And it's on the wall. It's very real dynamics, and it's very dynamic thing that's going on right now. We better pay attention, man. We really need to pay attention. All right. Family, can you repeat my number? 678-557-2919. That's 678. I'm going to put it in the comments. It's 678-557-2919. All right. If you get nothing else from the online class before I see you offline, wherever you are, whatever city you're in, at least know and understand some basic principles about firearms and self-defense. What is wrong with that? You listen to everything else online. I'm coming to Dallas June 25th. All right, June 25th. I'm in Atlanta. Well, I was already in Atlanta. I'm trying to schedule Atlanta again. You're right, Doc. We need to learn those things, though, Doc. And that cop should have knew that. You stop and neutralize the threat. All right. So we're gonna talk about the we're gonna talk about this tomorrow when I get on with Kalanji. All right. Thank you. Ain't that a shame? The supervisor who called the police and they hung up on her because she was whispering. Buffalo Police Department needs to be checked also. Exactly. So we're gonna talk about that tomorrow at 6 o'clock right here. Thank you all very much, brothers and sisters, for sounding off. Because a lot of people think, well, Professor Griff, you the only one say. I said, no, I'm not. No, there's 100 Professor Griffs out there. You understand what I'm saying? And we're gonna do something about surviving and saving our own lives. Someone asked, when will you be in the Midwest? Soleil, when are we gonna be in the Midwest? If somebody want to have a class, I'll stay an extra day so we can have the class. I will be in Kansas City in August. I'll be in Kansas City in August. I'm supposed to be in St. Louis May 22nd, which is Sunday. All right. Still waiting to talk to the people in St. Louis. And you're right, Donna. See, situational awareness, people. We have to be we got to study situational awareness. All right. Keep your head on a swivel. But I'll be in Kansas City in August. August in Kansas City, the weekend of August 13th. All right, family. Study Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's book, Get in the Class. My number is 678-557-2919. Professor Griff, I love you all to life. Revolution is not an event. It's a process. All right? Peace. Family, 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 family.